Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Wanderer's Palace Hard. This is one of 3 new instances made available by patch 2.5 Before the Fall, Part 1. My name is Mistech, and I'll make sure you don't end up wandering around aimlessly. You'll notice that the layout is roughly the same as Wanderer's Palace normal. There are a number of gated sections, mostly to prevent speedrunning, but the trash itself is fairly simple. Dodge AoEs and pull as much as you feel comfortable with. The first boss is Frumious KO. The boss's main ability is throwing down spears that slowly pulse an AoE and place a burning debuff on all players. These should be destroyed as soon as possible, as the more pulses it doles out, the more damage the group will take. He will also throw out random AoEs on random players. Near the end of the fight, he will throw out spears faster and in multiples. I guess you could call this the burn phase. Ha! Get these spears down quickly before finishing off the boss. In this section, it's important to pull the trash away from these battle standards. These standards will buff any enemy players in them, but sadly offer no such buffs to your own group. I guess you could destroy them, but they have a ton of health and we're lazy, so we ignore them. The second boss is Slithy Zalul. Throughout the fight, Zalul will spawn a number of brightly colored totems that each do a specific thing. The colors corresponding to each ability are instance-based. As such, each time the boss drops his totems for the first time, it's a good idea to step into them and quickly discern which color does what. One color will buff the player's damage. Another totem will decrease their fire resistance. Another will place a heavy on the player, and the last color will turn a player into a toad, or if the player is already afflicted by toad, will turn them back into man mode. Once your group figures out which color does what, damage dealers can grab the damage buff while the rest can be essentially ignored. It's important to note that if no one absorbs the damage buff totem, when Zalul recalls his totems, he will instead gain the damage debuff himself for the rest of the fight. To avoid potentially deadly tank damage dealers should grab the damage totems as often as they come up. The boss will also periodically cast Toad on someone. The affected player can either sit on their thumbs and wait for the duration, or they can move into the appropriate totem to remove the debuff right away. In this section, we free a pair of tomberries that lead us into the underbelly of the palace. Killing the ooze here will get rid of the pollen and activate the drainage pump, allowing you to progress further. The last boss is Maximi Molajaja. Molajaja will periodically drop sacred standards that buff him. To deal with this, the tank can kite him around the room anytime a new standard is dropped. He may also spawn this sacred idol that tethers to him, buffing him even when pulled out of the puddle. These should be destroyed as soon as possible. The boss has a massive frontal cone cast on a random player. The ranged and healer should hang out near the boss to dodge it easily. He will also target a random player with rotting lungs, which apparently makes you fart out some damage if you get hit by rotten gas. However, the only rotten gas ability I've been able to see is this point blank AoE that you shouldn't be getting hit by in the first place, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that you can essentially ignore this mechanic. The boss will also spawn a couple of ads. These have very little health and can be burned down easily. Lastly, and arguably most importantly, the boss will cast Doom on a random player. To escape inevitable death, this player needs to be healed to full to remove the debuff. Healers have 20 seconds to do so, so keep your eyes open. And there you have it, Wanderer's Palace Hard. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll look at Keeper of the Lake. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.